Hey friends, welcome back to the Master Your Metabolism During Menopause podcast. Today, we're going to be diving into something every midlife woman needs to hear, and it is how to actually move the dial on optimizing your body to work with your hormones as you transition from perimenopause into menopause into postmenopause. Every woman goes through it, and I'm going to discuss what are the ways to manage this so that you can have the life and the body and the confidence that you deserve over the age of 40. All right, let's get into it. Coach Andrea here, and as you know, I'm a mom of five and passionate about helping women for over 20 years optimize their body, feel good, and really understand the process to do that so that you can look good into the last third of your life. And this has been my passion, and it forever will be. I feel as though I'm gifting this to the world, and I want to bless you today with the one of the biggest topics and things that is under talked about, in my opinion. And we're going to talk about why eating healthy isn't enough in, perimenopause and menopause. After 40, women often do eat cleaner and they cut more calories, they have more willpower. Just to give you some context, I remember back in the day reading, in my 20s, reading those magazines where it would jot down the food that they had. It was like, in our 7-day slim down plan, and it was like lemon juice for breakfast, and then it was, eat a small salad with some ginger dressing, detox your body, and then for dinner, have a chicken breast with some veggies. And I was like, oh, hell no, I would never follow that. To fast forwarding to my 40s, where I was eating that and exercising to boot, and decided to throw in a 2-a-day workout because I was still gaining belly fat. So I was much more adherent to it, measured my food, blah, 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 but I got less and less results. And so that's why I am preaching what I do today, because your basal metabolic rate, which is your BMR, is directly tied to one thing, and this is your lean muscle mass. The more muscle that you lose, the slower your thyroid, cortisol, and insulin signaling becomes. And so what does that mean? Well, gee, then we also have the transition of your sex hormones changing, not only your metabolism, and you have got a shitstorm for major plateaus, blockage, and health issues. So even if you're eating perfectly, you've lowered your body's burn rate non-intentionally by following those 7-day slim down your belly meal plans that we've done, or cutting out all your carbs because now your body doesn't have the glucose, and it's hurt other things in your metabolism that signals these things. So healthy food doesn't raise BMR, muscle does. So that should be the number one thing that we're chasing, ladies, is keeping our muscle, gaining our muscle. So this is why strength training is the actual hormone reset button. So part of me is like, you guys know, if you don't know my story, I owned a personal training studio, Tone Today. I started it in my basement and basically outgrew the basement. And I had my kids running around. It was just too much. Moved to a small chiro office. We had a wellness clinic where I was one of the personal trainers. Outgrew that office in a year doing strength training and Pilates work with the reformer for women and group classes. We then opened a storefront, outgrew that in a couple years, moved to a bigger location. Hence, I sold it in 2021 to do what I'm doing now. And I was always big on the strength training front, and I kind of got there because I had tried everything else. I had been, I tried the running, the walking, the riding my bike, the elliptical, the consistency, and none of that seemed to work for my body. But then I ran into a class called Body Pump and started doing that 3 times a week. And it was amazing. They had a great periodization plan in their programming so you can increase your weights and actually do a strength training routine during the class, and I saw major changes to the way my upper body looked, and I was very, very happy with that. And so that was what kind of led me on the road to becoming a trainer, opening my own gym, and working as I did. And I still stand behind that, although women who do that, it is a long-term effect. And if you are not pairing your nutrition with it, that's when we're going to see issues. But let's talk about strength training on its own, how to do it correctly, because there is a kind of a wrong way and a right way. But some of the benefits are it boosts our human growth hormone, or HGH. If you guys ever heard of the 500 calorie diet with the HGH injections, that did work actually. I feel like it was early on peptide, but it boosts our growth hormone naturally and our testosterone, which are both critical for fat burning and muscle tone and even mood. So it increases our insulin sensitivity. So that means less storage, more energy. So when you store insulin, it becomes excess, and then that can be stored then as fat. And we don't get as much energy because some women develop something called insulin resistance. I'm not diagnosing you with that, but I'm just saying that can be a thing. And so when we have more muscle, it increases that insulin sensitivity. It regulates our cortisol by teaching our body to recover, not just survive. So cortisol is something you really want. I'd rather see a woman with high cortisol than no cortisol. So it also improves our thyroid conversion. So if you look at a TSH, T4 to T3, we are going to have better conversion turning it into T3 when we have more muscle stimulation and energy demand. That's just a natural way. So if you have thyroid disorders, it starts with the muscle, and having more muscle is always going to benefit you. So if you're afraid of being bulky, I want you to take that out of your mind and try to look at this as the fountain of youth, and the way that you're going to love your body. And to be wholeheartedly honest, over the last 30 years that I've been strength training, my body has actually gained weight. And so it looks the same. It's a smaller size even. I have six-pack abs back after I recovered it after my 40s, but I've consistently strength trained. So that's been the one thing going for me. Other things became dysregulated for me, I believe, because I underate, and then I transitioned in perimenopause. So those two things, set me up for a little bit of failure. So I had to reset, reboot, but I was always doing the strength training. Every rep is a metabolic signal to your hormones that you're still in the game, that you're still doing it, you're vital, you're ready. It keeps you young, ladies. So this is how you're going to structure it, the periodized power plan. And I love to talk about this. Women get stuck doing these random workouts, which is why I feel their body never adapts. And I've been on that circle as well. So I'm not preaching at you. I'm there with you to say I've relearned the system. What works is something called periodization. You need to cycle your training phases so hormones and metabolism sync with the plan. So I'm going to talk to you about my 4-phase hormone strength blueprint. So it is, awesome, because basically in the first phase, you're going to build that foundation, that house. And this is very important. I don't care if you haven't strength trained at all or if you've been strength training the last 20 years. You need to tune in and check this out. So we're going to get that foundation work and just check in. Like, how is your focus, your form, your movement patterns, your mind-muscle connection? There are studies out there that show that you could completely be wasting time when you don't have proper form, or if you're not connecting the dots on what muscle group you're working, and really focus there when you're doing your lifting. So form, that's why personal trainers have a job, is we are there not only to keep you accountable and motivate you to keep your appointment in session, we're there to also make a periodized plan for you. So that means your body is cycling through, not adapting. And then during the session, make sure that you're hitting the right muscle group and you have good form. So if you're working online, it's really easy to just send your coach a quick video of some of the moves you're doing so they can make sure that you're targeting it correctly. And that also keeps you accountable and motivated. So you just got to do a little extra. Everything in life, I feel like if you're trying to do it at the bare minimum level, you're going to get bare minimum results. But if you really focus and get in on it, it gets a lot funner. Like if you want to upgrade, take a video, do some things in the gym that you wouldn't normally do. Think about like, okay, this is the latissimus dorsi. That's my wings underneath here. I need to really pull that and focus as I'm lifting. Those are really important. That gets about 70% more muscle engagement than just going through the motions like a shoulder press. If you think like, I'm going to pull back my chin, I'm going to, engage my muscles, and I'm going to go up fully and really work that shoulder, you're going to get so much more out of it. Make sure that your frequency is 2 to 3 times a week, full body. So what does that mean? Well, if you're doing two full bodies a week, that can count. If you're doing 4 workouts that target upper body, then lower, upper body, then lower, that again is 2 full body workouts. So it kind of depends on how much you want to do, how often you want to lift. So when I would personal train women and I would only have 2 days a week with them, we would try to really make it a push-pull workout so that we were getting the full body workout. And then if I saw them 3 to 4 days a week, we could do more of a split workout where we could do upper body focus, then lower, and then upper body again. And maybe the next week we'd continue on in the same. So it's always trying to get in 2 to 3 times a week a full body. So that is really important. The goal is to wake up your muscle fibers and retrain stability. That is always the goal. So if you think about it on a microscopic level, you may not see or feel the muscle fibers tearing, but they're doing that on a microscopic level. And then you've got to rest or give it enough time for those fibers to grow back stronger. So then you're building up the muscle. Lots of other things come into that, like feeding your body. But think about like if you are only walking, or if you are, not doing those kinds of things, really focusing there, you're losing that muscle. So phase 2 is that strength. So weeks 5 through 8. So we want to add progressive overload, heavier weights, lower reps, longer rest. And ladies, I have some secret sauce on how to get more toned, not be bored in the gym, not rest too long. Like you can do supersets or you can do core work when you're resting. So that makes it a lot more fun and exciting. And you also are resting the muscle so you can go back stronger to do it. Build lean tissue. So you want to build that lean tissue now to raise your basal metabolic rate. So that means, I always like to use this, like when we retire, my husband's very big on retiring and only living off the interest. Like he's got this down to a science. He's older than me. He's 57, I'm 49. He's got a system, a strategy. He's an awesome strategy person. And he's always like, you don't want to take money from your retirement. You want to live off the interest. So that is the same thing here. When you have built your lean tissue and maybe the scale has gone up a little bit because you've built muscle, you are going to have so much more ability to lean out faster, reset your hormones, and then when you're not doing anything, your body is going to do more at rest with a higher BMR. So you don't have to pull from the muscle does the work for you. So you can retire there and you are actually anti-aging. You don't need hours. You do not need hours. 40 focused minutes 3 times a week changes your body chemistry. No lie, but you gotta be focused, present, have the form. There are details in there. It's kind of like, you can't just walk your way through it. So phase 3 is metabolic conditioning, Weeks 9 through 12, now we're going to layer in short bursts of power, 15 to 30-second intervals. What this does is it keeps your mitochondria and metabolism young, and it's not about HIIT, hit punishment. It's power and recovery balance. It really is important because this gives the opportunity now for your body to tap into another part of the muscle endurance. And this really helps to increase muscle mass and to create some fat burning. So your body's not adapting to it. Again, it's a periodized plan. Our bodies adapt really quickly. So you gotta be strategic. The whole reason your muscle training and doing this work is it's so that you can tear down those muscle fibers and create something new, right? So you gotta feed it correctly too. So phase 4 is your recovery and rest. So this is week 13. You want to deload, nourish, walk, stretch, reset cortisol. So just by about the time you're like, oh my God, I don't know if I want to go in the gym again this week, guess what? You can go lighter on your weights. You get to walk, you can stretch, reset your whole body. Hormone balance happens when you stress and rest your body. So that is super important. So you've got to put the stress on, but you also got to put the rest on. That's when things are resetting with your hormones. But you got to do this intentionally and strategically. But it's super easy when you focus and you have a plan like this. So what doesn't work? So I think this is important as well, because it's kind of like I'm telling you the body affirmations you need to make major moves with your muscle, right? And your hormones. So if we're layering on this goodness, what do we have to take away that's not working? You can't walk your way to muscle. There is no way to put on even a vest and build up muscle. Basically, what a vest does when you're walking is it's creating maybe a higher calorie burn. So if you imagine when you weighed 145 pounds and now you're down to 135 and you're basically burning less when you walk, that's the same kind of thing. You add on 10 pounds and you're going to have you're going to have more calorie burn possibly because of that extra 10 pounds you're carrying. But other than that, it's not going to build up your muscle. That's just not how it works. And you can't diet your way to a faster metabolism either. As a matter of fact, if you burn off muscle through dieting, you're actually doing the opposite effect. So it's so crazy how we've put all of this investment into the scale when truly, when that goes down, it's an indication that we may have lost some muscle mass, which I can guarantee you have. And so there's no way to diet your way to, that's going to actually be a slower metabolism, right? Like I said, no matter which way you look at it, you're carrying around less weight. So you're going to be burning less calories at rest. And you can't tone with 5-pound weights forever. So if you've been lifting those 5-pound weights, it's not periodized. Your body is very accustomed to it. It knows what's going to happen. It knows what to do. It no longer tears those muscle fibers and produces the results. It has to be in a circular periodized plan. So if you've done 5 your first round, great. Then you do your short bursts. Then we do our rest and recovery. We got to come back maybe at 8 pounds then the next cycle through. Hopefully that makes sense to you. But as we reduce reps, we may need to increase our weight too. That's all part of continuing the cycle. If you're only burning calories, you're not building capacity. So, cardio works when you're doing it, but there's no lasting results after. So it actually kind of burns less. And it could be burning off muscle if you're not eating enough, which is most women, they don't eat. We don't eat enough. I don't know an overweight woman who's overeating really, maybe by default because she is grazing and waiting to eat her food till late in the day and then even a few days into the week. And then she just has to give in because she's hungry and it's not nutrient dense foods that are building muscle. And then the weekend happens and they're inches away from a calorie deficit. So they're doing nothing. We're building no muscle. We're creating metabolisms that are lower. And it's a cycle. And so you got to break out of that cycle. You got to understand, like, when you do cardio, that's the only time you're burning, anything. And when you're done, it's over. When you build muscle, you have a 24 to 48 hour, hormone activation happening, and it's also building up something. So it's going to be really great because tone is just muscle under control. You earn it through resistance, not restricting. So, the biggest thing here, ladies, is stop blaming age, start building strength. This is your hormone reset button. There are women in their 60s, 70s, 80s, and beyond that have plenty of muscle. They're aging well. They look great. They don't have to stress about food all the time. And that's their secret sauce. And so there's no way around this. But in order to actually build the muscle, you got to do it in the way that I just discussed. So here's a free resource. If you want my 4-phase hormone strength blueprint, you will know exactly what to do. It's the same plan I use with clients to boost metabolism without dieting. DM me the word BMR on Instagram at Andreya Tone, or grab it at toneforlifemenopause.com. You're probably driving right now, so you absolutely can't do that. But as soon as you park your car, like, just comment below and put something like BMR, and I'll get it to you. I'll send it right to you in the comments on YouTube if you're there, or Spotify. So I just want to say strong is the new balance, because when you build muscle, you don't just change your body, you change your hormones, your energy, and your future. And this goes for anyone, like, even if you're on a GLP, it's not a magic antidote. It's almost even more imperative that you are eating correctly and doing this. So this is for all you ladies out there. Nobody is not going to qualify to do this. We all have to do it. Love you. Bye.